I think sometimes like being a leader is helping people see through the emotion. And so I think my unique take on not being a dictator and a fierce, tough leader. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can be fierce when I need to. And I think that I can negotiate with the best of them and I will fight for my clients. But you can do it in a way where it's a win-win for everybody. It's not a numbers game for me. I don't need 300 brokers. I want the best of the best that I just know are out there to change people's lives. And I think it's not lost on me that in real estate, we come alongside of people through some of the most incredible times in their life.
Welcome to a private conversation with me, Steve Robbins. I'm sitting down with some of the biggest names in Indianapolis real estate. I've enjoyed these conversations immensely, and I hope you will too. A big thank you to Executive GM Ian Soroyan and his whole team for hosting us at Cunningham Restaurant Group's Commission Row and Mel's Speakeasy, located in downtown Indianapolis within the Pacer Sports and Entertainment Complex. Check out the show notes to learn more. And now, my conversation with the managing partner of the agency, Indy, Traci Garontakos.
So tell me, I want you to feel human to me. So tell me about your kids. Where are they at?
Okay, so I'm pretty human, by the way, on a good day. My 22-year-old just graduated from, well, she just got her master's from the University of South Carolina in international business.
Wow.
Yes. Very proud of her. She actually did it in 4 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so she's just graduated. And then my 20-year-old is going to is at Wisconsin in business. Okay. He's at their business school at the University of Wisconsin. And my 18-year-old just is getting ready to graduate from Park Tudor. And he is going to University of Florida.
Wow.
Also in business.
Great places to go visit, though.
I know. I visited them all, and Florida is now the farthest, but it's having to fly back and neither Columbia, South Carolina, which is where University of South Carolina is, or Gainesville, Florida, have direct flights.
Okay,
so it's kind of a pain in the ass.
For sure.
Wisconsin's dry.
And how is it now, like entering that empty nester phase? Like, does it worry you to not have them at home?
I'm missing them. Yeah. So now my daughter's actually driving back home today.
Okay.
But she'll be, doing other things here soon. And then my son has been back for about a week. That was at Wisconsin. And then, of course, the senior in high school he's getting ready to graduate. So I'll have everybody home for a while, which is awesome. And I can tell you, here's the weirdest thing. When all of a sudden it's an event, you have to keep this in mind. Take one piece of advice from me today. Don't forget that at some point it will be an event when the 5 of you are in a room at the same time.
Right.
Like, that's an event I'm getting ready to have.
I had heard this statistic, and it was like by the time your kids are, I think, 12 years old, you will have already spent 75% of the time that you're going to spend with them in their lifetime by the time they're 12.
That makes sense.
And by the time they're 18, it's 90%. And I just can't get it out of my head. That's the 10-year-old. I'm like, we're there. Like,
you're ahead of the game on all that. If you're aware of all that already and thinking about it, it does make you stop. And I mean, you're so busy with everything you got going on.
It's chaos. Every day is pure chaos, and every day is like, where do I have to be now? And am I going to get there in time? And what practice is today? And what game is today? And trying to keep the schedules. And I think you just live from chaos to chaos to chaos, and just trying to make it all come together. And I can't even fathom the day when there aren't any of those activities, or I can just wake up and say, what do I want to do today?
Yeah. Well, when was the last time you had one of those days?
12 years ago, 11 years ago.
12. Well, so how are you managing it all? Really? I mean, at this point, they're all in sports. I mean, that's where it really gets crazy.
But so much fun. Like, when they come into their own and they find, like, our 10-year-old probably took the longest to figure out what he's passionate about, and he really just got into lacrosse. And he's so into it.
Wait, your
and
6 and
it's-
8-year-olds already know what they're passionate about?
My 8-year-old
I'm 52 and don't know what I'm
My
passionate
8-year-old, since she was 3 years old, has been passionate about horses.
Okay.
She has a pony, and she goes to the barn 4 to 5 days a week, and she is so committed. So she truly found her love as a child. She just had this love of animals and really horses. So, having her have that has just been incredible. And then, when you see how great it is when they find something that they love, you want it for all of them. Our third child, just by nature, is the go with the flow, do anything. His life he's happy all the time. It's just easy because everybody takes care of him, and he just gets drug along to everything. So
Is he doing soccer or any sports or anything
he
yet?
does. He'll try anything.
Right.
He's doing lacrosse too. He
Okay.
loves it, and so he and my oldest are connecting now. They've kind of always been competitive with each other, very different personalities.
Okay.
But now this is helping them to kind of bond.
The
and so it's
lacrosse
fun.
itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
They go in the backyard and they practice together, and he loves watching his older brother, so he loves going to his games, and he's so proud of him. And so he won MVP of the game last week and had 5 goals. So
Nice.
it's been,
5
it's
goals?
good.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's exciting. So it's fun. I think for myself, you asked how do you manage it all, and it's funny because I think I do better like the busier I am, the more I accomplish. And so my brain doesn't like to stop. My body's starting to tell me that sometimes we have to stop and sometimes we need those breaks. But I do think, when I go from work to home, and it's like, okay, now these activities and these activities, like it's just easier the busier you are. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I just brought up a quote the other day. Benjamin Franklin, he has so many great quotes. One of his best quotes is, if you want something done, find a busy person. And it's true.
It is.
So you're getting stuff done.
Yes.
And
I honestly feel, Bridget and I, when we were on the car, just on the way here, I told her I feel truly, I was scared to take this step recently. And I have a very driven personality. I got it from my dad. I have to always be accomplishing. It's always what's next, what's coming.
when you say this step, you're talking about the agency.
The agency, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So starting the business, and it was scary because I was thinking, how am I going to do it all? How am I going to be a mom, run a business, still be effective for my clients, still produce at the level that the service and the customer level that I want to be at, and spread myself so thin. But I honestly feel like I'm a better mom now than I've ever been. And I feel like they're so involved in what I'm doing, and they're so proud of it.
I bet.
And so having them, they watched, I don't know if we purchased the old historic farmhouse at Holiday Farms, which
Yes.
was something I wanted to do, prior to the agency ever even being a thing. I have been in love with that farmhouse since the moment I saw it. So it was just one of those gut things where I'm like, someday I just want that house for something. I just knew that it was, meant to be in our future somehow. But when we purchased it, we referred to it as the House of the Departed Souls. There were lots of birds and mice and all the things when we walked in, and the kids were like, why did you buy this house? And it was, almost like a haunted house. It was
Right.
scary, and everything needed replaced. Every piece of plumbing, every mechanical, all the windows. I mean, it was
How long was this project?
It took us probably a good 6 months to get it back to where we could function inside of the house. But the ongoing project of the site and the site development is probably going to be door to door a good 2 to 2.5 years total.
Wow.
Getting the roads in, getting the parking lots in, site development, land planning, getting through town council and plan commission. And I mean, it's been a project.
I'm sure.
Yes. It's fun. It's exciting, but it's used a lot of my energy. But it's something I'm so proud of.
How has it? Well, I'm backing up a little bit. So how'd you get involved with the agency?
So, ironically, I was with my 2 team members, and we were doing a business planning session, and it was last January. We were at a coffee shop, just kind of mapping out our year, and I got a phone call, we were trying to determine, what do we do next? Like, where are we headed? What do we want out of this year? And as we were, trying to figure out where our business was going and where we wanted to take it and what kind of steps we wanted to do, the farmhouse was at play because it was something that my husband and I were purchasing. And so, do we put a team office in there? How do we
that
make
was
all this come
already
together?
before.
That was all in the works.
Okay,
yes.
got it.
So, I'm a big, big believer in signs and just things and people come into your life and cross your path at a certain time for a certain reason, and you have to be aware of those signs and you have to be willing to act on them when they happen. And so I got this phone call, and it was from the agency, and obviously we've been talking about my life, and so with 3 kids and my husband, I don't even know how to turn our TVs on. Really, it's sad. The kids have to turn them on for me. It's not that easy.
Okay.
So with all the YouTube TV and all the things, I feel like my mom now. I'm like,
Exactly.
But
I know the feeling.
I just don't. I'm not. I love to read. So I'm not much of a TV person anyway. So when the agency called me, I was not aware of the presence and the brand and who they were. Obviously, without them having a presence here in the Midwest. I just don't watch reality TV that much.
Right.
And so we started researching what is this company. And as we started looking into it, funny enough, one of my team members went home, was talking to her daughter who's at the Fashion Institute in New York City, and was like, oh, we got this call today from the agency. And she was like, what? The agency, Mauricio, so it was like she knew everything about it. So then Kelly called me, was like, so Laurel knows all about this company, and they have a show on Netflix, and we have to watch it. And so we started really learning more about the company and the culture. And Jackie on my team was an attorney previously, and so she's our realist. And so, she kept saying, I don't know about this. I don't know. This sounds too Hollywood. This sounds, like I think we need to just take a step back for a second. And so we all had different feelings and perceptions about the brand. But as we went through the process together and really started learning more about it, it just totally fit our brand and the culture of the company. Mauricio, while he's, a kind of that Hollywood celebrity personality, he's just as much of an incredible human as he is celebrity.
Mm-hmm. Mauricio Umansky.
Correct.
You might speak on him just a little bit.
Yes. So Mauricio is the founder of the agency. He and Billy Rose started the company in Beverly Hills. And he's just this larger than life, dynamic human, very magnetic, responsible for tons of real estate sales, Michael Jackson's house, Playboy Mansion, a lot of the properties that are just, something that you only see on TV.
Right.
So the company was started in Beverly Hills, and he really wanted to change the market. He wanted to change the real estate industry. He wanted a collaborative culture. He wanted this very high level service. And it was just something that I really bought into. And then Rainey Austin, who is the president of the agency, she's equally dynamic and sort of the yin to his yang. She's the one keeping it all together, more of like the operations. He's
Right.
the big personality, and she's the one that you would walk through fire with. She's just, that you can rely on her. And so when I was able to meet with her and talk to her, for me, that really sealed the deal for me. It was like, this is something that I can get behind. And
Why?
I think because it was time for me to do my thing and take that next step. I think I was really ready, as they were, and as they were trying to do. When you go through this industry and you evolve and you grow your business, probably like you get to a point where it's like, I know that I can do things better and I see a better way. And for me, I just felt like I can make this better for my clients, and we could do things that, are really exciting. And I felt like they were the catalyst that I needed to really catapult myself into that type of a future.
Okay.
And, I have my MBA, I have a background in corporate America, so all of that training, business planning, I just felt like I've been blessed with incredible mentors throughout my life. I think you always want to run before you crawl, and it's a hard thing when you're in your 20s and your 30s and you have these big aspirations, but then, now here I am in my mid 40s, and it's like, it's time. I think I'm ready. I think I've learned what I need to learn, and I have all the people behind me. And as I mentioned, mentors, I've had some great people that also pushed me in this direction. So Gary McNutt with Wedgwood Building Company has been an incredible friend, mentor. Okay. He's more like family to me. And so
I know Gary.
He's
a great guy.
He is just one of the best humans. So, in talking to him about this opportunity, he was like, you have to do this. I know you can do this, and you have to do this. And so when you have those people in your corner that believe in you, and are telling you it's time, and again, you follow the signs, and it's like, perhaps this is what I was created for, and this is what I'm meant to do. And for whatever reason, it was on my heart, and it just was like, let's do this. And my husband was incredibly supportive and like, yes, I'm all in. Like, we're going to do this. So it just really made sense. And
what's your goal here at this point? I mean, what do you, I don't know how far out you can go, but a year goal or a 3-year or a 5-year, what, you took this big step, now what?
So when we were going through the exploration process with the agency, they had mentioned that they were looking to do 2 to 3 franchises in the Indianapolis area. And for me, as I started thinking about that, like, I know my commitment level when I do something, and I know how hard I'm going to work. And so as I started thinking through that, and I thought, well, if I open up this location here in Zionsville, and then I do things the way I'm going to do things, but then somebody else opens up a location, say on the east side of town or downtown or somewhere, and we're the same brand and the same company, how is that going to work for me when I'm doing things one way and we may be generating business, and then maybe it's going to go to the other one, or it's going to affect my reputation. So that made me pause, and I thought, I don't know if I can do that. And so I went back to them, and I just said, I don't think that if there's going to be other franchises here that, that's something that I want to explore. I want the exclusivity. And so they said, no problem, they're all yours. So we did commit to opening up all of the franchises here.
Okay. Here meaning?
In Indianapolis. So we have all of Indianapolis. So there will be future locations. We have some time, and obviously for me, it's, doing all of the foundation work, doing this the right way. I love the boutique aspect of the company. I started real estate in a family boutique company in Columbus, Ohio. Obviously, the step when I came here to Indianapolis and being with a smaller boutique company as well, like, that environment just really resonates with me. Like, I like that family feel, and I like knowing everybody and everybody working together. And so that's really my vision for this, is that I just want all A players. Like, I want everybody that's committed to, like, coming home at night and saying, whose life did I make better today? And did I leave it all out there, and did I give it all to my clients? And that's who I want. It's not a numbers game for me. I don't need 300 brokers. I want the best of the best that I just know are out there to change people's lives. And I think it's not lost on me that in real estate, we come alongside of people through some of the most incredible times in their life, and the things that, we're able to do for our clients and help them through. For me, that was really why I became so passionate about real estate, helping people through divorces, having babies, needing bigger spaces, deaths, there's just so many things that I think we end up being more therapists than anything in our roles. So
marriage counselors,
exactly,
it's everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I think that, coming from a corporate America background, a really professional background.
You were in medical sales?
I was in medical sales for 10 years, yes. Yes. So, really learning sales training. I was a field sales trainer in some of my roles in medical sales, and just having that background of, constantly planning and goal setting, and it really helped me with that client service side of things. Learning corporate culture and, being at different companies and seeing how leadership can change an entire company. It was just fascinating to me, just by policies that are put into place. And, so I think for me with the agency, that's really what I'm hopeful for, is that, we get known for our culture and for our care and our compassion and our integrity. And also for our knowledge. Like, I just want people to know when they come to us that we're going to make sure they're taken care of. Because
what's your leadership style? You've learned from some great ones, it sounds like.
I have been so fortunate. My leadership style is funny because I was once told by somebody that I wasn't tough enough to be a leader. And
did that piss you off?
It has lit a fire inside of me that, it took a minute to process it. But I realized, like, you don't have to be mean to be a leader. It's not
100%.
about being tough. Like, I think, to be a leader, you have to be compassionate. And, I tell my brokers now, like, they'll say, well, how do I do this like you? How do I be you in this situation? And I'm like, you don't want to be. Why would you want to be me? That's not going to help you. Like, you're not me. It's all the experience in my lifetime have led to me being me in the way that I do my business. But you have your own traits and your own genetics and your own experiences that make you uniquely you. So let's find out who you are and why are people going to want to work with you? And that's the beauty of having the choice in this industry, right? There's enough business for all of us. And I think it's really finding your people and your clients that choose you because you're uniquely you. And so for my brokers, I want to be the leader that helps them explore who they are and how they can be an asset to their clients and what they bring to the table. For me, I have a passion for design and renovation and prepping properties, but, some people may not like that as much, and they may be more detail oriented and more investor driven, and that's okay too. I think that's the really wonderful thing about real estate is there's just, the sky's the limit. You can specialize wherever you want to.
There's plenty of niches
for sure
for you to pick.
For sure. So I think being a leader really is about focusing on the client, focusing on making sure that everybody knows where they want to go and what their goals are, but then helping them get there. And I think that what I want people to know is that it's okay to go on vacation and enjoy your family and, let us take care of things for you. Just go and be away and enjoy that because you need to recharge. You need to do that. And I think sometimes, like, being a leader is helping people see through the emotion. And so I think my unique take on not being a dictator and a fierce, tough leader. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can be fierce when I need to, and I think that I can negotiate with the best of them and I will fight for my clients. But you can do it in a way where it's a win-win for everybody, and I think I learned from an incredible leader when I made the transition into real estate, and it was my managing broker when I was in Columbus, Ohio. And one of the first things that he taught me was, Traci, always keep the spirit of the deal alive. Just always keep, like, whenever anyone asks you something, everything's great. This is great. The other agent's great. The seller's great. They're so excited for you. Just keep it happy, because as soon as you let people feel like this isn't right and this isn't going right and the seller doesn't want me to have this and they're trying to win and they're trying to beat me, and it all falls apart. So your goal is to help them peacefully get to where they're going and do it in their best interest, and obviously having fiduciary duty to your client, but doing it in a way where, that relationship on the other side of the table is going to be there long after that transaction. Like, we are all going to cross paths at some point in the future again. So I think, that's another thing for me that I'm really passionate about is networking with my peers and working well together for the common good.
And you're in a luxury focused, that's your niche really. Would you agree with that? Or if that's, the agency maybe, and my guess
Sure,
is,
and I think luxury is,
and I have a
it's all
specific
perception,
question.
so I think for us, what we feel luxury is luxury is an experience that everybody deserves. When you're talking about your largest asset that you own, it's luxury for everybody, regardless of the price point. So I think for us, yes, we may focus on luxury, but what does that mean to us? That means everything that goes into that experience, and it doesn't matter what price point you're at, you're going to get that exact same quality and that exact same experience from us. Whether it's photography, videography, your marketing materials, every property gets the exact same thing because it means the same thing to everybody. So it's not that we'll only do a certain price point or we'll only reserve our best efforts for higher level prices. It's
It kind of where I wanted to go with that question was in Indianapolis. You came from Columbus, and I want to talk about that. Yeah. But in Indianapolis, the luxury market itself, what we would consider luxury around here, is pretty thin. And you're going to be running into a lot of the same people over and over again across the table. And so being able to work together and work well and like you said, network with your peers, I mean, that's critical. How's that? You're newer to the area relative to some people that have been here, but now you've been here for 8 years now.
Yep.
And so how have your relationships within the industry evolved, and how has being with the agency kind of started to even change anything with regard to how you're approaching your business?
It's a really interesting question because as I reflect back, and I've been doing lots of reflection lately, but as I think back to when I first came here, I remember when my husband's job, when he was notified that he was going to be transferred to Indianapolis, and I looked at him and I said, well, have fun. Get yourself a condo, enjoy it. We'll be here on the weekends when you come back, And at the time I had a 2-month-old and a 2-year-old. My brother had gotten his license. He came to work with me. One of my best friends had been a lender. He got his license. He was coming and working with me. I mean, we just had such a great setup and situation. As I mentioned, my broker was just an incredible human, and I loved working with him. So I had been there for about 5 years at the time when this all happened. And I loved Columbus, Ohio. I went to Ohio State. I had, been living there for 18 years. I was going to raise my family there. For me, that was my future. And then life happens, and then you realize, as I looked at my husband, and I could see him hurting because he knew how bad I was struggling with that situation. And one night we were sitting there and I looked at him and I said, you really want to do this, don't you? And he was like, I really do. And I was like, all right, then I'm all in, let's do it. And I said, we'll see how good I am. If I'm really that's good at this, it'll transcend location and it's going to be hard, but we'll make it happen. And maybe this is my sign that this is time to, spend with the kids a little bit more and, be more present at home and help you do your thing. And then I'll, slowly but surely try to build my real estate business. And so I went into it with that attitude, and then we were here for 5 minutes and I lost that positive mental outlook. And after, being here for a very short amount of time, I was home with the kids one day and there was a terrible storm. I had the TV on and there were tornado sirens, things. And I remember looking at the TV and it had a county map. And I was like, I don't know what county I live in. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to do this? Like, this is the biggest uphill battle of my life. How am I going to sell real estate here? I know nothing. And
after having just built something somewhere else.
After having built a really great business that I loved it.
I can understand that. There's some time of despair.
Yes.
Like you walking away from something you put 5 years into, you build up, and now it's like, oh my God, I have to start over.
Yes. But I think I realized that, it was going to take a lot of hard work. I was going to have to earn my stripes. Nobody knew who I was here. I remember telling my husband distinctly, like, everyone's a stranger. Everywhere I go, I never see a familiar face anywhere.
Right.
So it was just, going to the grocery store, going anywhere. I could never just run into somebody. And that was such a lonely feeling at that time. But, I had done a lot of physician relocation with the hospitals in Columbus, Ohio, and helping people relocate their families. And I'm like, this is what I've been doing with these people. Like, I've been relocating them here, but this is what they're going through.
Right.
And now I know exactly what they're going through. So that kind of was an area for me where I'm like, well, this is an area to excel in and to really help my clients that are going through this. And now I know that they need to know doctors and dry cleaners and where to get their hair done and all of those things that are so challenging when you move to a new location. And so, I think I put my heart and soul into learning as much as I could. I did spend a lot of time with the kids then, but I also was just trying to be a sponge and just, learning the school systems, learning street names, learning anything I could about the city. And it was really, truly one transaction at a time. And, I started in the community that we lived in. We were living in Stonegate and Zionsville, which will always have a piece of my heart. I just love that community so much. And, just trying to build my name there and let people know, I'm here and I would love to help and, really branding and marketing that community. And so it started there and then just, kind of grew from there. But you brought up, how do you break into the market with our peers? And I think for me, that was harder than trying to find clients that wanted to use me. It was easier to
You
connect
felt
with
like an
people at open
outsider?
houses. I did.
Yeah.
I really did. And
How long ago? This was in 2018 or what year?
2016.
16? Yeah, 2016. So how long did it take before you stopped feeling like an outsider? Last week?
I think, there are still times where you can feel that, like, people are territorial. They've been here. This is, they were born and raised here. They grew up here. And I completely respect that, but there's a lot of us in Indianapolis right now that we're not born and raised here, but this is home, and we're raising our kids here. And so, I think there's a place for everybody. And I think there have been a lot of people that I'm so fond of. I'm doing a transaction with somebody right now that was one of the kindest people to me when I first moved here. And we just were talking about it last week, and she was like, remember when you were brand new? Mary Jane O'Brien.
Okay.
Sweet, sweet woman, and I'm so happy to be doing a transaction with her again now. But we just had the conversation last week. She's like, I'm so proud of you. You've done so much, and I knew you would. And there's a lot of people like that in our industry, and I've had a lot of people call me and congratulate me and say, this is amazing, and of course this is what you're doing, and this makes perfect sense. And Janelle Salazar has been so incredibly supportive and like, you go, Traci, and so it's like when you have those people that are willing to step outside and make that phone call, and even your call to me was so kind and meant so much, and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, and I don't want to, steal people from other people, and I just want to do something great, and so I think there is that opportunity. And
Well, you are doing something great.
Thank you.
Are you feeling that way? Are you feeling great? Are you feeling the greatness yet?
I don't know that I'll ever feel the greatness. I think, people with driven personalities, I don't think you ever allow yourself to stop and celebrate too often.
Is that your dad talking?
My dad is the hardest worker that I've ever met in my life. And I don't think he ever stopped to say, do we stop right now? It was just like, go, go, go. So I definitely got that drive from him. But, I think it's important to say we're achieving things, we're doing things, this is working, to evaluate it. But I also think that, I I read a statistic that like true athletes and winners, and they actually only spend 2% of their time celebrating their wins, and then the rest of the time is back in the trenches. And it's kind of crazy if you
It makes sense.
think about that. But I do think that 98% of the time, it feels like that would be the number. And then 98% of the time, you're like, okay, now what? And
Commission Row offers an unforgettable dining experience with high-quality steaks, a raw bar, and exquisite seafood curated by an expert culinary team. The menu, designed to delight every palate, features seasonal ingredients paired with an extensive wine and spirit selection. Open weekdays from 4 p.m. and for brunch at 10 a.m. on weekends. Continue the evening at Mel's Speakeasy below. After dining, enjoy an after-dinner drink with a wide selection of wines, cocktails, and spirits. Open daily from 5 p.m., Mel's is perfect for relaxing and unwinding. Commission Row and Mel's Speakeasy. An unforgettable dining experience awaits.
If you're like me, I like to win. Don't get, I definitely am competitive. I'm a very competitive person. But I hate losing way more than I love winning. And so...
Why do you hate losing? What is it?
We could go pretty deep on why that is. And I'd have to probably... I don't know exactly why I hate losing, I guess is the answer to the question, because I truly have no desire necessarily to beat whoever the competition is, but I have a very strong desire not to lose. And so it makes it fun. I enjoy the competition. Mm-hmm. And are you similar? Are you competitive? There's no way you're not competitive, so let's just be honest.
When you're in sales, you have to have some bit of competitiveness to you, I think. It's funny because I watched something that Jeff Bezos was talking about, that the way he wins is by focusing on his customers, not his competition.
Right.
And the moment that you start worrying about your competition is the moment you start failing.
Yeah.
And so if you focus on your customers and what you're trying to do, then you're going to win, right?
You've seen that meme or picture of the French swimmer looking at Michael Phelps, while Michael Phelps is like a stroke ahead of him. And that's basically the story. Yeah. It's like if you're focusing on your competition instead of the finish line.
Right. It gets in your psyche.
You're losing.
Yes, exactly.
And I agree.
So, it doesn't mean that it doesn't sting when things don't work out, but I have tried more to process things and learn that it's truly in your failures where you become better. We can all be successful. What are we learning when we're successful? It's like, oh, this is great, we're succeeding. But it's when you fail and it's how you handle that failure that really takes you to the next level. And so I think for me, I've been processing a lot lately when we don't get something, or helping team members when they might lose a client, and it's going to happen, like we're in such a crazy market right now and there's no inventory. And if you're not on top of everything every second of the day, and, you have people that have been looking for houses for 2 years, and, so you're going to lose people. But I think that the way that I look at it is when I lose something, like they weren't meant for me. That was somebody else's, and I tried to be happy for that person. Like, oh, good, you found your client, and that client was meant for you. And I look at it as I'm being spared some situation that was probably going to add too much angst to my life, and if that client or that situation would have ended up in my life, and I wasn't meant to be the one to have that, and I'm fighting for something that's not mine and business that's not meant to be mine, then I'm not best suited for it. And so, I think that's how I am trying to process competition and losses right now, is like it's just not what the universe put out there for me. Yeah. And so, we can let it hurt us and take a toll on us. But
I mentioned earlier that before we started even sitting down, that I'm a perfectionist, and I've done very little social media posts, videos. I'm starting to do this. Is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. But I did one post about a year ago. I was talking to my daughter on the phone, and she's a perfectionist, and one of my sons is a perfectionist, and then the other son's not as much, and he's probably lucky not to be, and I am. And so I did a post about perfectionism and the healthy part of perfectionism and the unhealthy part of it, and the ability to embrace failing forward, and that it's a strive for excellence, not a strive for perfection. There is no perfection. And so I sometimes have to tell myself that perfection is the enemy of good enough.
I would agree completely. And I think when you're a driven person, though, it's hard. You brought up social media, and social media is probably my least favorite thing. It's a necessary evil in our business now. But
yeah,
I mean, if you look back on my social media, prior to having Bridget, my marketing director, and prior to the agency, and it just wasn't a big part of my life. And I think that when you get caught up in some of that, like you said, like, I can't put something out until it's perfect. I don't want to be in front of a camera. I don't want people to see a version of me that's not who I am. Or, we all see versions of people that aren't their true self on social media.
Right.
And then, when you are constantly playing that comparison game, it's dangerous.
It is.
And so for me, I think with social media, I, like you, I just didn't do it because, I think we're fortunate that we came from a generation and an era where you didn't necessarily have to. Like now, I don't envy agents that are getting into the business now, because you have to. You have to have an identity, and everything is social media. So, but trying to figure out how
it's
to
your
do
brand.
that. It is. But doing that in a healthy way, and like you said, I think those of us that maybe weren't born and raised on social media, understanding you don't have to be perfect. And I think, Bridget, my marketing director, is constantly telling me, like, we just need people to know who you are. Like, people just want to know why you're doing this, and we just need you in front of the camera. And so we have wonderful people like Tyler that make you comfortable in front of a camera. And so when you can get to that, and I think it's all about being authentic, and we talked about that earlier on. I think maybe more so than being perfect, maybe just being authentic and letting people know we are human.
You seem pretty authentic right now. I'm feeling the authenticity.
I'm an emotion person. I definitely do things based on gut and emotion. It's a big part of who I am.
Well, speaking of gut and emotion, so you went to the move from Columbus to here. You said you went to Ohio State. So are you just the biggest Buckeye fan I've ever met?
Die-hard Buckeye.
I had a feeling.
And my husband went to Michigan, so that's
a house
that's
divided.
an interesting dynamic. Yes.
I went to Purdue, but my wife also went to Purdue, so I don't have a house divided. I did date a girl that was at IU, and so I experienced that for a little bit. But so, what's football Saturday like for the big game?
Oh, well, for the first 10 years of our marriage, it was wonderful for me.
Yeah, no kidding. Harbaugh's gone now,
years,
though, so things are going to get a little easier, possibly.
But, we try to make it fun. At our wedding, we had a rule that there were no Ohio State or Michigan songs or anything at the wedding. We had to keep it very PC at the wedding.
And did it stay that way?
It did.
No friend of yours or his slipped in with something?
No. They were all very respectful. The wedding was in Columbus, Ohio, so we did win there.
Okay, that's a win.
That was a win for sure. Yes, and we brought all of the Michigan alums to Columbus, Ohio, so that was special.
The other thing I'm talking to everybody about is their favorite kind of music.
Oh.
It's really important to me, music, and so I'm interested in what you listen to.
You're going to laugh at this.
I'm not going to laugh. I might laugh. I don't know. Tell me.
So, I would say I'm eclectic. I like
Me too.
all different types of music, but I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, and so there's a little bit of gangster rap in me.
Okay. All right.
It's surprising, and I think a lot of people wouldn't know, but
So
XM Fly
who are your
is kind of my
favorites?
favorite.
Who?
XM Fly,
Okay.
Sirius XM,
Yeah.
kind of pumps me up.
But what artists?
Jay-Z, Tupac, Missy Elliott,
That's your fave.
I mean, I love
this.
it. I love it.
Okay.
You know,
You're right. I'm
especially-
surprised. I'm not laughing, but I'm surprised.
It's shocking.
You just went from here to here in the cool factor.
My kids think it's pretty funny that I know pretty much every rap song out there. So, and I laugh because my younger brother and I will frequently send each other voice notes of songs that were, songs of ours when we were younger that we loved, and Bone Thugs and Harmony, or just something
like Bone
random,
Thugs and Harmony.
And I tell him all the time now when he'll send me something, I'm like, I feel like that was a different person. Like when I hear that song, it makes me feel like that can't possibly be me. And it's just a song can bring you back to a time of your life and just an era. And it's like, wow, who was that? And I think it's good though, because, I was a really fun person. And I think our
You
parents
were?
instilled, I'm fun now, but I'm busy now, right?
okay.
That's a lot of responsibility, and I have to be a parent, so I have to be careful. But, my parents, I grew up very blue collar, and it was, my dad was a firefighter on the rescue squad.
Wow.
And so, and he was in the city of Youngstown. So the trauma that he experienced every single day that, he went out the door, it affected his persona. And so his view on life was, Traci, you're alive. What do you have to complain about? You're alive, you have your health. And so, his way of dealing with anything problematic, like if I would come home from college and stressed, and I would try to have a conversation with him, and he'd be like, what's wrong? You're alive. And then I would be like, fine, you need a beer? Let's go have a beer. And it was a beer and a shot, and that's how we solved everything. So,
What kind of beer? What kind of liquor?
so BV, Black Velvet Whiskey. Was
Oh,
his-
God.
Yeah.
The very first time I drank, it was 8th grade. I'll be honest with you. Me and some friends took a bottle of Black Velvet Canadian whiskey out of one of our friends' parents. I'm outing me and my friends on this, and we went outside and we drank it, and that was the most disgusting whiskey I've ever had.
Terrible. But now
I
it's-
cannot believe you said Black Velvet. I haven't had it since.
Yeah, that's my dad's shot of choice.
What beer?
Bud Light. He's a
Okay.
Bud Light guy.
All right. Well,
I'm not a beer drinker now, though. So.
no.
No.
What do you like to drink?
Actually, I've moved over to wine. I've gotten a little more sophisticated.
Oh,
So
you're
not
fancy
only
like
do
that.
I listen to other types of music, love country music, love alternative. So I do listen to all kinds. I'm not just rap and hip hop now. And I drink some good wines.
Okay. Good.
I've progressed.
Well, we all grow up eventually. I be honest with you, don't drink wine very much. I'm
No?
not a wine guy at all. More vodka. I enjoy a good beer,
I was a
but
big vodka girl, like prior to having kids. That was always my drink of choice. But I guess now I don't drink to get drunk, right? Now I'm just drinking to enjoy it. And I
Right.
think we're so involved with our kids, and my husband and I both having big careers. When we're home, we're in it with them. And I think that's how we really got into wine, because it's like, well, we're here, we're going to put the kids to bed, and now we're just going to enjoy a really nice glass of wine.
Yeah.
So the taste got bigger and bigger, and we like to take trips to Napa, and we've been to France wine tasting, and we've been to Portland, and so we really enjoy wine, and we've built a big wine cellar in our house, and so this is the wine era of our life.
it's a good era to be in.
It is.
The industry, I was just sitting here talking with Shelley Specchio before you, and the industry, we were talking about disruption and how much the industry is changing. And that was a technology disruption, and how things like iBuyers and stuff like that was changing everything, and there was fear related to that. But the fear always seems to move to something new.
Sure.
Right now we've got this NAR settlement that we're dealing with, and there's change coming from that. But
What
is
do
there-
you think about the NAR settlement?
Well, what I think, and this is something that I did talk with Shelley about, but I would like to hear your thoughts on this, is that the only thing I'm really sure of is that it's going to hurt the people that need the most help.
Outside of that, I don't think necessarily much will change. I do think market to market, the industry, the Indianapolis real estate market versus the Columbus, Ohio real estate market, as an example, they will evolve into their own things probably at first. Maybe over time, nationally, the way real estate's done will look very similar across the country. But I think at least in the short term, maybe for the first year or two or longer, it'll look very much like its own thing in each individual market.
Sure. I think we have an opportunity is the way that I look at it. And I think that when we're looking at those of us that are leaders in this industry now, how are we going to talk together about this, and how are we going to navigate this? Because no single one of us I can't take the agency through this myself. We're all going to be on opposite ends of the transactions together, and it's going to take all of us, really working together. And, maybe we're going to be picking up the phone more as managing brokers and saying, hey, this was a unique situation that occurred between our two brokers on this one transaction, and how should we handle this moving forward? Or using those opportunities, I think, for us to connect and collaborate more. When I moved here and I didn't know a lot of people, I started a Zionsville Realtors group where we all just got together and talked and hung out and shared ideas and tried to learn about the town and things that were coming. And I think this is one of those times where us all connecting and collaborating and working for the common good can be huge for us. And I think that, not being scared of this and not being paralyzed because it's happening whether we like it or not. Like, it would be great to just, keep life humming along how it was. But would you say that our industry was perfect and that we were doing things perfectly, prior to this lawsuit? Like, obviously not. The other thing that I think and feel passionately about is that there are a lot of people in our industry that probably need more training and that could use more from us and more handholding. Like, maybe that looks something like you have to do a 1-year apprenticeship before you're out doing transactions yourself. Because would we have gotten here if we were so good at our jobs and there were no problems in the real estate industry? Like, something happened. There was a catalyst that made people want to sue their agents, right? And if you're...
Maybe lawyers were the catalyst.
True.
Just maybe.
That's a big part of it, absolutely. And, but I also think that we need to take onus on some of the things in our industry. You hear it all the time. Barriers to entry are low. Anyone can go get a license. COVID happened and everybody got licensed. And so, maybe this is an opportunity for more professionalism for us. And maybe this is an opportunity for, those of us that are really passionate about what we do to elevate even higher. And I think if we work together, I do think that we can find the good in all of this. And I think those of us who care about our clients are going to figure out a way to help the buyers that need the help, So
right.
I think that it's going to be the Wild West for a little bit, and it's going to be buckle up and enjoy the ride for a minute. But I think, we'll figure it out just like anything else.
We will.
And we've got some really impressive people in this city, lots of great leaders. So I think we'll navigate it together.
Well, welcome to that club.
Thank you.
Traci, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for sitting down and having a conversation with me.